the recording has been started.
And we have an Eric and an Adam, a Rati, a
Yes,
Shish,
Adam as well.
Iwadi, Falguni, Feliciana, Raphael, Osama, Nita, Kalyan, Jane.
So, welcome all to the World Photography Day celebrations. Let's talk about photography and ways in which we can improve with our friend Paul. First of all, thank you all for joining and let's celebrate the World Photography Day. Let's start with the introduction round. So, thank you all for joining. I'll start with the presentation now. So, a couple of housekeeping rules that please be on mute till the end of the presentation. Kindly do not share your screen. Also, in case if you want to say or ask anything, I would request you to type in the chat box and we'll surely respond. This meetup is being recorded as conveyed earlier as well, and it might be hosted on YouTube as well. So joining gives us a consent that you're okay with it. And I would please request you to put your name and connect IDs in the chat box as well, so that we can tag you in the recap. So that's it for the housekeeping rules. So let's start. So we are here to celebrate the World Photography Day. So how and why is it celebrated and how did it get started? The As you can see, the World Photography Day originates from the invention of daguerreotype process, which was developed by Louis and Joseph in 1837. But on 19th August 1839, the French government purchased its patent and announced it as a free gift to the world. And that's the reason World Photography Day is celebrated on that day. If you look at the right, there's a picture over here. It shows how the photograph used to look in earlier days. It's just on a silver plate they have embossed with copper filing, I guess, and on that the photo has got printed. That's the main reason we are celebrating the World Photography Day on 19th August. The whole idea behind this is to hold up discussions on photography and encourage who want to take photography as a career. Each year it has a new theme. Like in 2017 it was like understanding clouds, 2018 it was be nice, so 2019 it was history related, and 2020, because it's a lockdown year, so the theme was indoor shoots. Some fun facts about photography: the earliest abbreviation of photo, that's a photo of a photography, was used by Queen Victoria in her letter in 1860. If you want free cameras, there are 12 Hasselblad cameras, left on the surface of the moon. If you can see the picture on the screen, this is the world's most expensive photograph sold till date. It's called the Rain 2 by Andreas Gursky, and it was sold for $4.3 million in 2011. This is the photograph. It's the world's most expensive photograph. Korsky era started the celebration in 2010. He also, launched a website known as World Photography Day, and invited photographs for the submission. And since that day, since 2010, this World Photography Day celebration is actually going on. And till date, I think there are more than 350 billion photographs online. So yeah, that's a huge number. Let's now quickly jump into photography and maps. Photography has the ability to capture a place, an experience, or a moment in time. So, for this reason, it is also said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Photography and maps both have a deep connection. Even like today, if we are going to a particular place, to visit, maybe eating out or shopping, or if you want to see how a place looks, the first thing we see is, instead of going through all the reviews, the first thing we do that we look at the picture. Okay, like how is it and how is it looking? Do we like the ambience or is it accessible? Whatever it is. So photos and maps, go together, and they have a great appeal and they give insight to what a place that actually could be. So that's really important for everyone to put proper photographs, and that's the main motto of this meetup. Next, let's quickly look, like how photos look on a map. Okay, like look on the map in the sense what users look for photos and maps. So first of all, it has to be something related to that place. Currently, I saw a couple of Indian local guides. They had started this thing of spam free on maps. The reason that thing had to be carried out was because people do put insane photographs and videos, some of their even marriages and stuff on the places. So that's totally wrong. Basically, what users are looking for is spam-free photos, food and drink photos, photos showing vibe or ambience of that particular place. Make sure that the photos must be clear or not blur, and photos which describe the place, like say it's kid friendly or maybe a pet friendly, dog friendly, and so on. Also, currently, like being working towards accessibility, I feel that some people might also be looking for how accessible that particular place is. So we should make sure that we also post photos related that. And the last one is, I think, street view of 360-degree photographs, so just to let us know that how the place actually looks at from the street view as well. So I'm just saying this in short because Paul would be obviously covering it in more detail. So, but I thought, like what users expect, I should also give a short brief for that. I would like you all to unmute for a minute and give a round of applause for our guest speaker, Paul. Please give a round of applause.
Welcome.
Hello,
Very
everybody.
good.
Thank you.
Most of you might not know that, some things which I didn't know. I know he's an avid photographer and he loves taking photograph related workshops or writing blogs. But I didn't know that he used to work in IT, just like me. I didn't know that. He also volunteers on the Puffing Billy Railway. So that's really great. And he is a qualified trainer and a leader who helps others, to learn photography. And the most amazing part was he has 30 years plus experience in photography, which is wow. And since the age of 10 years, like he mentioned, he got interest into photography, and since then photography is a part of his life. He also leads the Melbourne Photo Walks community, and he loves shooting models, toys, and steamy trains. He loves to
And
capture
anything.
the he loves to, yeah, anything, that's true. And he loves to capture emotive moments on street. Yes, Lego. He loves Lego. I forgot to mention that. Thanks for mentioning. And he is a yummy pizza chef. If you look at his Instagram account, you'll come to know he makes amazing pizzas. The Paul, next meetup, we want you to host a pizza show. And you might see him someday in MasterChef Australia. So
That I'd be a little bit surprised about.
yeah. No, but if this lockdown continues and you keep on cooking, you might end up there as well. If you talk related to local guides, he's a Connect moderator from Melbourne, Australia, and he's a local guide level 10. And if you wish to see his, photographs and what are his top view, and if you click on sort, please don't do that. Your system gets hanged. That's what happened with me. So thank you. Thanks a lot, Paul. Paul, can you please show some of your best photos and your thoughts when you were taking those? And you can start with the presentation. I'll just stop sharing my screen. Thank you. Over to
Sure.
you, Paul.
What I'm going to show is what people I guess they think they're my best photos. I don't. So I'm going to show you my most viewed photos on Maps to start with. So this is actually a little bit funny because it changed since last time I looked when Isra and I first talked about this. And the people who have been on my learning presentations will know I say a couple of things. I always say make the shot straight, and I always say get to 90 degrees to your image. Well, as you can see, I didn't. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, Paul.
All right, so I'm just going to go through just the top few, and they're quite interesting. I think they're quite telling of the times that we're in. So the number one photo, and it used to be a beautiful photo of Yosemite National Park. It's down about number 10 now. But
Oh
this
my God.
photo is this is a computer chain where they sell computer parts. So of course we're all in lockdown, so everybody wants to fix their computers and make them better so we can all do vlogging and things like that. The next one's something else that's dearly important to people. That first one had 3 million views. This one's got 2 million. This is a fish and chip shop and burger bar. So people want food, obviously. And Anda's going to find this one funny. a bunch of old men trying to think what cameras to buy. Interestingly enough, that this shot still comes up because this point is actually closed, but it's still getting lots of views because the shop moved. This is an awful one. I should delete it, but that's a hardware store. This one's a bit better. I'm happy with this shot. This is a hospital, so I imagine a lot of people are looking for their loved ones, so they're looking up the hospitals on maps. I don't know why people are looking for tyres when they can't go anywhere, but they are. I don't mind the photo at least. It's a good one. It's a golden hour shot. Now this one makes more sense because people are virtually traveling the world because they can't travel physically at the moment. So this is the Statue of Liberty. This shot actually shows the flame that was put up there, which isn't the original one. The original one's gone back on the statue. Someone in the 1920s thought it was a good idea to make one that lit up. That's Americans for you. Wreck the things the French build. I think the next one makes sense too. An ice cream shop. Everybody loves ice cream.
Yes.
And then we've got a fish and chip shop, a burger shop. And then we get to what I actually think is my best photo. And I still like this one. I took this shot on the way out of Yosemite National Park. I pulled over on the side of the road and went and sat by the river and had my lunch because I had to leave the campground by a particular time. It was just before lunchtime. And just pulled over there and sat there with my feet in the water eating my food and took that shot while I was there. And I've always been very happy with it because it's a magic place, Yosemite. If you ever get a chance to visit, you should. So that's probably about it for the photos I want to show you. So when my screen pops up, so we're here because of World Photography Day 2020. And my little program part for today, I'm going to talk about the MAPS mission first up because it's why we do everything we do.
Okay.
Then we're going to have a little session which is going to be interactive on what photos belong on maps. So I'm going to run through a few photos and then I'm going to paste a link into the chat. Actually, I'll put the link in the chat before I show you the photos. And then you can just all go away. And if you don't mind just going through the form, it doesn't collect any personal information and it doesn't record who you are. So it's totally anonymous. And then we'll have a look and see what everyone thinks afterwards. Then we'll be having a look at some techniques for good maps photography. And I'll keep that relatively simple. I've got a thing in my list here about photographing food, but it's more about food in shops than food in restaurants, because I think we've covered food in restaurants a lot. And then I'll talk a little bit about Street View or 360 or Panosphere or Photosphere, whatever it is you want to call it. People know them by all different names. This is the MAPS mission, to find the places worth visiting and the things worth doing. You won't find that written anywhere. I saw it pop up on a slide at Connect Live, and I was very fortunate that someone else took a picture of it and I managed to get it from them because I didn't think to do it. If you Google those words, you will not find them anywhere. Maps depends on you knowing their mission without telling you what it is. But I think that's like most things in maps because there's all these rules about what to do and what not to do and what photos to add and those sorts of things, but they never actually tell us. You only find out if your stuff gets marked private. It's a strange way, but there you go. So let's get into what photos belong on maps. So I'm just going to paste into the chat a link to a Google form. So as I go through the photos, or you can go through it and go through them all right now, or you can do them at the end, whatever you like. So I'll talk about each photo a little bit. This first one is a photo in a natural bush reserve park near me called the Pines. And this was fairly late in the day on a stormy afternoon. So I quite like the light and the form and the texture in this thing. This one's a selfie. I'm sure we all recognize selfies. We all take selfies. And yes, I'm name dropping. That's Tracy. Some of you at least know who she is. Pizzas, of course. Who could not have pizzas? This is from a paint shop. It's just showing off some of the colors and some of the different brands that you can get, and that they even have that weird stuff wallpaper. Nice, yummy burger. Everyone likes a nice yummy burger. Everybody varies in what they like in their nice yummy burger, because culturally not everybody eats meat, and not everybody eats the kinds of meat that others eat. Here's a night market. It's got lots and lots of people in it. I'm mentioning people deliberately because I'm interested to see if you think this should be there or not. And this is a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, drawn by Penny, I think, and coloured in by me. I thought I saw Penny in here before, but I guess not. Another selfie. A few local guides out playing. Went out on a bike ride that day with everybody. And a yucky blurry shot. So, have you all finished the form? So I'll stop presenting the presentation and I'll go and present the forms. So we've got 8 responses in there so far. So a few more people are probably still doing it. But I'll go over and we'll have a look at the form and we'll see what people thought. So we've got 8 in there at the moment. So hopefully you can see that now. So most people did think the first photo belongs on maps, but a few people didn't. And one of the interesting things about photos of nature is they are very, very subjective as to whether you think they belong there or not. Now, I think that's perfectly okay as long as it's added to the park and it's added as some of the photos that you'd put in that park. The next one, I just have to go back and remember what it was. The next one was the selfie with me and Tracy. And does that one belong on maps? No, definitely not. So the next one we had, most people have chosen no, which is cool. And that one is the pizzas. And the reason why they don't belong on maps, pizzas belong on maps, that's for sure, but those ones don't because that's my oven at my house. So they don't belong there. And the next one we were looking at is the paint shop. Yep, everybody agrees that one should go on there. Now that's a really good one because it actually shows a few things. It shows the range of what's available. It shows how neat and tidy the store is, but it also shows that the store's got nice wide aisles so a wheelchair would fit, which is a very handy thing. And the next one is the burger. One person thought the burger didn't belong on maps. I'd be curious why someone thinks that.
They might be thinking it belongs to the stomach, not on the maps.
Oh, it definitely belongs in the stomach. Definitely. But I think most people are used to having local guide friends or partners or wherever because we stop and take pictures of our food. So the burger definitely does belong on maps. That one's okay. And the next one's the night market. Now, I was thinking this one would be a little bit more contentious than it is, but most people have said yes, and I agree with that because it's showing the vibe of the place. It's showing the feeling there. It shows some of the things that you can expect to see when you get there, like how crowded it is and how many people there are. Now, you'll notice one thing about the actual photo is that there's no one directly in focus in the shot. So it's not a group photo. It's not a selfie. It's just a picture of people. And the next one, of course, was the drawing of the Golden Gate Bridge, which one person thought yes. But everybody else managed to get no. So it's definitely a no on that one. It's a drawing. Only photos belong on maps, photos and videos. And the next one is our little group selfie. And everyone's correctly picked no on that one, which is really awesome. So you all did pretty well on that one. So I'll stop presenting that and I will go back to the presentation. And I'll just get this to the right page before I switch back to it. Because the next one is we're going to be doing how many photos should you add to a place. So strangely enough, I've got a survey for that too, which I've just pasted into the chat. So if you want to have a go at that one, and I'll start sharing my screen in the meantime. Now, how many things that you should show is really, really, really subjective. I try and encourage people, generally speaking, less is more. Because if you add 10, 20, 100, 1,000 photos to a place, I can guarantee you that over time, Google will make them private, because it just happens. If you add one or two and you get to be the featured photo, and I can't tell you the great secret of becoming a featured photo because I've managed it a few times, but I don't know how. It just happens. And it can happen to anybody. I've seen really good shots and really awful shots become the featured photo. So I don't think there's much science to it. I think it's more magic and luck. But if you share a couple, then you're more likely to get that, I think. So how are people going with the form? Let's have a look and see how. Hopefully I posted a link to the right one. Yeah, I did. There's a response come in. So I did post the right one. So one person has done it, 2 now. So we'll wait until we get about 8 or 9 and then we'll have a look at that responses. So while the form's doing that, I'll talk about a few general things. It's really easy to over-contribute, especially when you're first starting out as a local guide and you're chasing points. It's very, very tempting to upload lots and lots and lots of photos. And sometimes people will be tempted to put up duplicate photos. And what I mean by that is they might take a photo here and then they move a little bit, take another one. They move a little bit more and take another one. We call those 1-degree shots. You should definitely take those shots. Choose the best one. Don't put up lots and lots of them. The other thing you've got to be careful with duplicates is don't add the same photo to more than one place on maps, because they've started to figure that out now. And there's a little cleanup thing that seems to be running behind the scenes, making lots of photos private, because we all see it on Connect, people posting there and in the Maps Help community. My photos are all private. I'm losing my points. That's usually why. Not always, but usually. And of course, you want to avoid the selfies and the friends and the family photos. We all see them on maps, and I'm sure everybody, including me, has been guilty of it occasionally, but don't make a habit of it. The occasional one won't hurt anybody. And one thing that's really important, and I see a lot of it happening in maps, is only places that you actually experience. So if you just drive past in your car and just take shot after shot after shot after shot as you go down the street, unless you're building Street View, it's not really helpful to anyone. So if we think back to the mission of maps, we want to help people find the places worth visiting and the things worth doing. And that's really hard to do when you've got a distant, blurry shot of a place. And the question that came up in Connect recently, how old should they be? I'd suggest no more than 3 months old. Now, there's no hard rule for that, but you want to show people the way the place looks now, not the way it looked 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So keep them recent and you'll go quite well. And people often ask about what sort of things from a place should they add. The entrance is important if it's not visible on Street View. If it is visible on Street View, if it's an old Street View or there's a truck or something in it, then by all means add an entrance photo. The other thing that's good to add from an entrance perspective is if there's a step that might stop someone with a wheelchair from getting in, or the door's very narrow, that's also good to show. Show off their products, show off the interior of the place, show their toilets. The only time I show toilets is when they're either accessible or they're disgusting. If it's just a normal toilet, I won't do it. Show any accessibility features the place have and see if you can capture the vibe or the ambience. That's actually quite hard to do from a place. It's often they come out a little bit clinical and documentary. So I imagine you guys hopefully have gone through the form by now, because I'm going to give you the answers now, and then we'll go back and see how you all did. So for a small place, an outside photo, 1 or 2 photos inside. So a small place I'm saying is like a burger restaurant. 1 photo showing a burger and 1 showing the toilet if it's accessible. On a medium place, same with the outside, 1 or 2 inside again, and several photos showing the different products that they've got. And you can caption in maps. Who's captioning their photos? Hopefully you are. You get more points if you caption them. Did you know that, Adam?
The problem is, Paul, that the captions aren't shown. That's a real disappointment.
They are going to be. But they are currently used because they're actually used to categorize the photos to show them under the correct tabs. So whether it's food or inside or outside.
Right. And you said they are going to be shown. And does that mean retrospectively any captions that have been added will also be shown?
Yes. Interestingly, you can actually see them in Maps on PC. If you click into the photo, you see the caption.
I'm not. And
Okay.
I biblically put captions since day one. And what I'm seeing, which is very disappointing, is a mixture of captions and photo 1 of 8, photo 2 of 8, the default caption.
Yeah, you shouldn't actually see that at all. So it's interesting that you are seeing that.
Yeah, I am
No,
seeing
I certainly believe you.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you seeing that on PC or on mobile?
On PC and mobile.
Okay. Well, at least the experience is consistent.
Yes, and I have written numerous posts about captions, so much so that I've just given up now.
One thing that might be worth doing, and let me just get the correct URL, is pop into the Google Maps community, and I'll just pop the URL into the chat as soon as it comes up.
Thanks, Paul.
Because the Maps community can help if something weird is going on, or at least tell you that it's not weird for you. Now, just a word on the Maps community, it's a little bit like Connect.
Right.
Adrian has appeared. So it's run by volunteers. It's not actually run by Googlers, but Googlers do read a lot of the posts that go in there, but the volunteers escalate things to the Googlers as well.
Yeah, I've had some of the Googlers comment on some of my posts, but
the local guides Googlers aren't Maps Googlers. There is one Maps Googler in Connect, but she's not there very much.
I see.
Onto large places. 3 to 5 inside photos. Up to 20 photos of products. Again, captioning. Maybe not Adam. sorry, it's doing that too. And the toilet again. And then we go on to some bigger places. So a big public place. This is like a community playground, for example. So something showing the parking and the main entrance. One for each major amenity that's there, and in this case, playgrounds, toilets, drinking fountains. If the drinking fountain's got a dog bowl on it, that can be a good thing to show too. And if the drinking fountain's low enough to be accessible by someone in a chair, that's also good to show. One showing the vibe for any activities and sports, and again with the toilet. And then we go into an enormous public place. You can certainly get a little bit carried away in the really big places, but if you add, I'm suggesting 20 or 30 photos for a big place like a national park or Disneyland or whatever. But if you add more than that, you just run the risk of them disappearing because they'll just scroll away very quickly. So let's just change to the form summary and we'll just see what people thought, because I'm always interested in what people think should be done. Because my way isn't necessarily right. My way is just a way. So people certainly like, can you see that now? Tells me you can, but it doesn't actually show me in this version of Meet. Meet changes every time I use it. It's bizarre. But anyway, so people do seem to think that all of the different photos are appropriate. Less people think toilets are appropriate. That's okay. One person thought you should share selfies. I'd suggest generally not. You laughing, Anil? I always know when he's turned up. Hang on, we'll get it out of the way. Here, Neil, here's some Lego. I know you want to see some. One person thinks you should share selfies. I generally suggest not, and there actually is guidance in the user-contributed policy now, user-contributed content policy about selfies. Finally, yay. How old should the photos be? So there was a bit of a mixture here. Most people thought less than a month. A few less than 3, and some at least one person thought any age is fine. So generally I'd say newer is better. So less than 3 months I would suggest. Try and get them newer than that, but we can't always. Life gets in the way of adding things to maps sometimes if you don't remember to do it on the spot. sometimes you might be quite a while before you do it later. And that's okay. Just having a look at the questions that are popping up there. Anshuk's said he's uploaded a photo which is shown in his uploads and his profile, but when someone else looks at it, they don't see that. That actually means Maps has made it private. Now, that can happen because of an algorithm. It can happen because someone complained about a copyright complaint, and it can happen if the place, so if it's a registered business, if they actually ask for it to be made private. How many photos should we add to the different places? A lot of variation here. So add to a small place. Quite a few people thought 100 plus by the looks of it. No, sorry, that's 1 to 5. My bad. I didn't quite see the color. Yeah, 1 to 5 is fine. 5 to 10, probably too many for a small place. 1 to 5 is probably pretty good. Medium place, most people think 5 to 10, and yeah, that's probably about right. That's probably reasonable. And a large place, well, there's quite split opinion here. It's almost divided. If we ignore the little purple square, it's almost divided into thirds. So a lot of people saying 5 to 10 or 10 to 20. I think 10 to 20 is probably okay for a large department store or something like that. Particularly one with a diverse product range. And a park, again, there's quite a bit of division here. But I would suggest in the 10 to 20 range is probably about right for a park. So most people seem to have had similar thinking. And to an enormous place like a national park or a theme park, like like Disneyland or Warner Brothers World or whatever, seems most people are hitting in the 5 to 10 range, which is interesting because I would definitely go for more than that. So the other big area that people have picked here is 20 to 50, and that's probably about right for a big place like that. I mean, it's hard to contain your excitement when you're in one of those places too, so you snap away, but try and make them as unique as you can. So looks like the thinking for the most part is fairly similar, which is good. I'll just let that calm down and then I'll go back to the presentation again. And then we'll talk a little bit about composition. I'm not going to go into huge detail on composition. If you want huge detail on composition, I ran a series of 10 photography workshops, and they're all on YouTube, and you're more than welcome to watch them. Some people have even started tagging where the interesting bits are, which I thought was cool, because we do waffle on a little. I have the same disease Adrian has. I like talking. I always pick on you, you know that. So composition for Maps photos. You want horizontal or landscape? That's for video. Videos, you want portrait. So that's in the user contributed content policy that the Maps themselves asked for them that way. And from a composition perspective, try and fill the frame with interest. So if you've got a small thing, get up close to it. If you've got a big thing, get far away from it so that it fills your whole frame and it doesn't leave big distracting things around the sides. And I'll go through some examples. The other one's keep the photo as simple and clean as you can. You can't always do that. You can't always make a simple photograph because the world is chaotic. It's just the way it is. But see what you can do. And if you can't avoid things in the background, at least try and avoid really bright, distracting things. And some of you will remember from my composition workshop, the rule of thirds. So we will go into that one. It's a very basic photography rule, but it's kind of important. You'll often find people say, I don't believe in the rule of thirds, it's crap. And then you look at their photos, they do, because they follow it. They just don't think they do. So we'll have a look at a couple of images here. So this one's some people eating some burgers and chips. It certainly could go on Maps. There wouldn't, if you only had this photo, there wouldn't be anything wrong with contributing this photo for Maps for the burger place, because it does show that the burgers are enormous and it shows that their chips look kind of nice, or fries, depending on where you are in the world. But doesn't this look better? So this one's showing off the burger more nicely, shows the chips really well. There's nothing weird and distracting in the background. There's just some more food. The only thing I don't like about this one is the burger actually needs more light on it around this area. So it's one of those things you look at it later on and you go, oh, that's okay. We all do it. So on these two shots, they're both good for maps. The left-hand one's very busy, but that's the nature of that shop. It is just very busy. It's just the way it is. You walk in there, it's an incredibly chaotic place. They have materials and craft things and big boxes of stuff on special all the time. So, and the one on the right, that's showing the really high quality produce at this particular market. And because I got in nice and close, not only is it a good photo for maps because it's showing they have great tomatoes, but it's nice compositionally as well. To me, it just sort of works because there's nothing distracting in it. It's all about different colors and forms and textures. I like the little light reflections coming off the individual tomatoes. And I like the green stalks that are sort of just organically moving through the photo. Sort of reminds me of Aliens a little bit. So we'll have a chat about the rule of thirds. This one's relatively simple. Most cameras, including phone cameras, have the ability to turn on a grid and show you a grid in your images. They might have 3, 5, or 9, depending on the different kind of camera. I find this particular variant of it with the 9 squares is the simplest one to use. And what you try and do is try and put your interesting things where the lines intersect, just as a general thing. There's obviously exceptions, there always is, but just as a general statement, put them there. So if we look at some images, and it's not always easy to decide exactly where these things should go. So this is an image down at the beach with some rocks and a cliff. It's a little viewing point that's on maps. So it needed some photos, it didn't have any. So what I've tried to do is set up the left-hand interest on here, and where the cliff meets the sea is near the other line. I didn't want to put it right on the other horizontal line here because then I would have started losing out too much sky or gaining too much sky. And it wanted to be about the place, not about the sky. This one, which is lines of gloves, it's a shot where it's one of those chaotic things. It's never going to look good. But organizing it in lines so that the tops of the gloves went across the thirds lines just sort of helps it a little bit and helps it seem a little bit better. So we'll have a chat a little bit about Street View and photospheres. You can make those with your phone if you've got a phone that the Street View app supports. And they're really good for showing off a business or a place. So you know those times when you go live in a demo and you always worry about whether you should? Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Now, interesting, I'm going to paste this into, actually I'll paste both links into the chat and then I'll open them up and show you. You can have a look at these yourself because you'll be able to move around and look at these images. Now I'm going to open them here. Open link, and I'll just have to change the way I'm presenting so that we get that one. So the first one is just inside a neighborhood takeaway food place. Now, the rules for Street View are a little bit different for the rules for maps. So if you're contributing Street View, make sure you have a look at the Street View specific user-generated content policy. It's really, really important. I help out in the Street View communities, both the one on Connect and the one in the traditional forums. And the most common question is, why did Maps reject my photo? And the two most likely answers are big glaring logos that people love to put in their 360s for no readily apparent reason, and faces. People must either be turned away from you in Street View or you have to blur their face. If you don't, your photo will get rejected. So why they're handy for showing a place. So in this one, those two people were turned away, and this guy I blurred him before I uploaded. Why they're useful for showing a place is that you can see everything about the place. You can see what kind of drinks they've got. You can see that there's an ATM in the back here. You can see that they make their own food in a kitchen out the back, so they're not just buying stuff. You can see how they cook it. You can see what kind of meats they've got. You can see the menu. And you couldn't do that with one photo without using the 360s. So I'll just get the next one now. Has anybody got any questions about 360s?
Hey Paul, good afternoon. Anil here.
Hey Neil, how are you?
I'm great. Today afternoon only one of the 360 I've taken. While the stitching and all, no, while uploading at time, what happens? Some of the places which are not there. So two questions are there. Number one, without 360 uploading in the map with street view, can I take 360 picture? Yes or no?
Yes.
Number two, okay.
We
So
might,
after taking the
let's answer that one a bit more fully. Street view images are the only ones that don't have to be attached to a place. So all other photos in maps have to be attached to a place. So if you want to take an image maybe in the middle of a park, you can't do that with maps because they all come up on the maps place and you can't see anything else. If you take an image somewhere that doesn't actually have a maps place, and it shouldn't have a maps place, so don't add one just to put a photo on it, the street view ones can actually go anywhere. So do you want to answer ask your second question now, Anil?
Yes. So what all the places which are listed in the map, that only places can be taken 360 view and attached and uploaded, or even the not attached photo can be taken and uploaded in the map. So it should give a dual advantage. One for uploading photo, next for attaching a new place. Over.
Yeah, so they can go anywhere. Be careful not to abuse that though, because if you start taking 360s out in the street, a lot of people think they can replace Google Street View with their own images. You actually can't. The only way you can make that happen is with prior agreement and a higher quality series of images. You can't just go and do it. Nothing happens if you try. Your image will sit there as a single place. It won't join the Street View. Now, we'll talk about how to make Street View in a moment though, how to make the blue lines. So this second 360 image, it's actually near where I work. So there's a bridge down here, which I'm standing on. The image is handy because it shows people that the area is accessible. It also shows that it's monumentally boring. So you probably don't want to go there. But there's a nice park over here. Now, in this one, there's issues with 360 cameras. So the little tiny cameras, they're tiny lenses, not much bigger than a phone lens. They're not actually really good at making photos. They're quite awful in some situations, like this one. And sometimes the stitching leaves a bit to be desired. So in this one, the building's got some strange artifacts on the end of it. But the main advantage of Street View is you can follow. So if you make enough of them, you can actually make a path that you can join in and you can go places. So you can follow it along. This one's not actually working all that well, but there we go. So that joined from, do you notice that jumped from my 360 into Google's? So that one's kind of cool. So I'll just go on to the next kind, which is the 360 blue lines. And anybody can make blue lines. I've put a tutorial up on YouTube for how to do it. It's a little bit dated now because the app does look a little bit different to that. But still the same basic principles. So in this one, I've gone to a particular address that was in an area that I did some 360s in. Now this one's actually a bit interesting. Let's see if it picks mine. No, this one picked Google's. So this is what I was talking about before, is that your 360s can't replace Google's. For a weird reason, there is a 360 from Google there. And if you go down the road, there's lots from Google. But interestingly, if we go back, and if we drag Pegman on here, suddenly we've got mine from when I did it. So the stuff that I did before Google did theirs, they've come along and replaced it. So by default, you get Google's. But if you try hard enough, you can still see your own after they're there. The same thing happens if you add blue lines and there's already blue lines there. You might find a way into your trail, but probably no one else will. You just have to know how to try to click on it. So I've done quite a few kilometers of blue lines, and I just mount the camera to the top of the car and off I go. More recently, there's some better ways to do it. So I'll just get you a link. The people who are lucky enough to go to Connect know about this better way, but they also know that I can't actually tell you how I do it. Oops, wrong link. I want this link. That was silly. Come on. I have got all my links messed up. Now you're going to see what happens when you have to do this live. Let me just see if I have got the proper link in here. Hopefully I have. No, I don't. That's annoying. That's okay. Let me go and find a place. This is what happens when you don't pay the demo gods. Now let's find one of these places. I think that one should have it. Maybe, or maybe not. Let's find a place that's got some. And then we'll try and get to the place that hasn't got it and see if we can do it. The annoying thing about this kind of 360s is they don't actually show up on maps properly. I'm just going to try and find my way into the trail. There's the trail. Is it going to let me in there? Come on. You know you want to. Come on. No, it's not going to. It's not going to admit that it's linked. Needless to say, there is a trail going off down there, which I'd love to show you. It's not going to let me. That's okay. It was just going to show you a different way to make the stuff, which is fine. What I will do is I will get that link and I'll put it onto Connect and I'll get the link right. So anybody who's interested in doing Street View, I'll put this into the chat. Yes, I'm presenting to everyone. I know, thank you. Asama points out that it is only 5 points for each 360 photo. That is actually true. Now, if you're making blue lines and you're using the video mode, so with your Theta or the Samsung, which are the two cameras that support it, the individual images that come out of the video mode are not counted, which I kind of think is good and sad, because in a kilometre of video, there's probably 20,000 individual images, so you'd get rather a lot of points rather fast. So the people who do that, they're just doing it for love. And Shook wants my chat.
Yes, I know that they are not counted because they are transformed to a blue line. I know that.
Yes,
Yes,
that's right.
Yes. And if you go back to your Google Map to check photos created blue line with, you can't find them.
Oh, you can. You have to look in the Street View app. You will find them if you drop Pegman there. And
yes, in Street View app. Yes, you are right. But in normal Google Map app, they are not there.
No, you should see them. Is your area supported for Street View?
I'm talking about blue line. When they are transformed to a blue line, you can't see them in Google Map app, but you can see them in a Street View app.
That might mean that your area is not supported for Street View and that only Google Street View is visible. Some places are like that. Some places let you contribute, and some of them, they all let you contribute, but some of them publish it and some of them don't. It depends where you are in the world. It depends whether your area is covered for Street View or not. Send me a link later, Osama. Are you in the internal Street View community inside Connect? Osama?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Are you in the Street View community that's inside Connect?
Yes, I'm. I can go inside Street View area. Yeah, I'm a trusted Street View photographer.
Yeah, so go and ask why in there, and give them some examples. Put some links into some streets where you've contributed, and ask them why. So what I'm talking about there, the people who are in Street View Trusted Photographer, there's a couple of extra boards in Connect that those people have access to. Now, any local guide above level 6 can join the Street View Trusted Photographer program. You don't have to do it for money. You can do it for love if you want to. So level 6 and higher all you need to do is add 50 360-degree photos that are relevant and all get accepted by Maps, and then you get the option to click a little button called For Hire, which is a really badly known button because it doesn't automatically make you available for hire. It just adds you to the program, and then you can find out a lot more about it. It's the standard Google way of letting you experience things before they tell you what they want you to do. So I'll just flick through the chat and see if there's any other questions. Is it compulsory to have 360 photos as a local guide? No, it's definitely not, Shreya. You don't have to do that.
I want to. Deepak wants to present his screen, Paul. Deepak, may I know, like, for what you wanted to ask something?
I'll just stop presenting. I'm just going back through the questions in the chat still as well, while he can show us if he wants to. Raju points out that yes, you can blur parts of your images to hide faces or license plates. In Australia, you don't have to hide license plates, but in some parts of the world, Google do ask you to. Feliciana asked, does it mean you need to blur people's faces on Street View before uploading? Yes, you do. Very much so. If you upload photos with people's faces visible in 360s, they will get rejected. They might not get rejected straight away, but when the human checks them, they will. What else have we got? Not all, you may have noticed not all Maps photos get checked by humans unless someone reports the profile. Please report spammy profiles. You can report the whole profile from Android now. Yay. But 360s, every single one of them is checked by a human. Looks like that's all of the questions that were in there. Anshuk, did you want to show something?
Ricardo has a question, Paul.
Yep. Oh, okay. It's just popped up.
Yeah.
What Ricardo says, I have found that when you create a blue line, the time machine feature is activated in PAPS, but it is only visible when you look for it in the desktop version, but not in mobile, in the iOS version. I don't know about iOS, but I know my things are visible in Android. So they are visible on mobile, but I'm not sure about iOS. iOS is, the Maps version in iOS is always a little bit different to the Android version. It seems to have extra features and less features. Anshuk asked if a Street View verified photographer can be a local guide as well. Yes, you can. You have to be careful. So if you're not selling services and you're just in Street View Trusted Photographer because it's easier to add your photos and easier to make the blue lines because they're more likely to get accepted, you don't really have to do anything, just obey the local guide's rules. If you are working for hire, there's some really important things to take into consideration. You need to use the same account. You might find some people advising on the web to use two, but don't, because you actually have to be in the local guides program to get into the Street View board on Connect. And that means now you've got two accounts in local guides. One of them will get banned. Always happens. They always find it. So use one account. And for any place that you do work for, don't review that place, don't rate that place, and don't add any non-Street View photos to that place. What that's doing is avoiding the conflict of interest that you have between the paid world and the unpaid world of local guides. Does that answer the question? Cool. I got a yes from Anshuk and from Ricardo. Cool. If you don't want to borrow an Android phone, Ricardo, you can always, in your web browser, press F12 looking at Google Maps and then run Lighthouse. And that emulates a mobile phone. You'll be able to see the mobile phone view then. Doesn't work quite the same way, but it's close. Rohan's asked, I have clicked 360 photo 3 days back. It is still under the stitching process. That to me, I would think would be unusual. So that one's probably broken. It does happen. Sometimes they can't get joined together properly. So that one's not too likely that it's actually going to work. Normally they're processed very quickly. A year back, if you submitted,
and just check the message below. You, in case if the photo has been rejected, like you'll get Maps rejected written below your 360 photograph. Just check that in case, because they immediately process it. It doesn't even take long.
Yeah, it used to take. Yeah, it used to take absolutely ages to process them, but I've added probably, I don't know, 200 kilometers of Street View, and nowadays it processes very quickly. It's usually within about 10 to 20 minutes of you uploading it. It's finished and it's on Maps, which is pretty good. They actually show up there faster than normal photos do. Osama says,
Sir Paul, please.
Yes.
Can I clarify something, please?
I was about to read your question, but go ahead. You can read it out yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I was talking about the image created the blue line. When I am done from the blue line, it is shown on the map. It is okay. But the images created the blue line are not shown in Google Map apps, but they are shown in Street View app.
Are you talking about a tour that you've made, or you're talking about using video mode to make blue lines?
No, I'm talking about interval option in Google Street View app, because I create my blue line by this option from a single image, not a video.
Yeah, those ones self-stitch, and they sometimes manage to stitch together and sometimes they don't. So I've done both methods. The video method is a lot more accurate and more likely to work. If we have a look at, let me just go and find one and I'll present again and I'll give you an example. This one will work. All right, let me present my screen again.
Yes, okay.
I'm just stealing control from Isha.
You can just take it, Paul.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty good example of one of these trails. You see how there's a few places with blue lines and there's a few places that don't. But when I hover over it, in some places you will actually see an image. You saw one pop up then and disappeared again. But they are there, they just didn't join together. So if I go to the place where they're joined, so this was using the interval method. I did this a long time ago, back in 2016. And if I try and follow this trail, see it's reached the end, but there actually are, see I can click through, even though it's reached the end. There are more images. So they don't show up as a blue line, but they're definitely there. And they don't always connect together when you're using the interval method. It's a bit tedious. That's why the video method's better, but you do need a camera that can do it. I did spend quite a lot of time with one of the Street View Googlers over that particular one of why that didn't work. And we eventually worked out, because they're under trees, the GPS was getting inaccurate and Maps couldn't actually figure out where the photos were properly. So it just gave up and didn't stitch them. And the same thing can happen if you're near buildings. So Rams just asked if I want to click a road like 50 to 100 kilometers. Yes, it certainly is. There's one particular local guide, I think he's done nearly 1,000 kilometers of roads in Russia because they don't have Street View. So he's done heaps and heaps. I know Jane's probably going to tell us contributing in some areas of areas where she lives. I'm not going to reveal where you live, but some areas is actually really difficult because some of Maps has been shut down because people were spamming it. And it's in those areas, can't do it there anymore at the moment. Raphael asked if only 360 photos qualify as Street View. Yes, but I'm not going to explain the but. Anil said so many mistakes in 360 learning for commonly mistakes, and he's put a link up. Let's have a look at his link. You're all welcome to open it. That one's pointing right at the top, Anil. You got rid of your tripod. That's good. I don't bother. I'm lazy. You can put your name up there in the top. You know that, where you've got that big black spot. So I hope you all clicked on Neil's link and know what I'm talking about there. Isha shared the photo album for the meetup. So if you've done screenshots and things, drop them in there. And I think that's it for the questions. Oh, and Anshuk's also asked about Google Roadmapper. Roadmapper is not covered by an NDA anymore, so we can actually look at it. Not sure about sharing it, though. We're allowed to talk about it. I'm not sure about showing it to you, so I don't think I will. I think I'll err on the side of caution and not show you, because I'm not sure about that one. I got a big grin from Adrian, which kind of suggests that that's probably the safe way to go. And Shulk, if you want to share it, because I don't think you were in the group that was at Connect who got shown it. You've gotten it since then, is that right? Oh, and Neil wants to know how to put a stamp on the top or the bottom of the globe. The easiest way is Photoshop, but there are other apps that do it. There's quite a few commercial apps for stamping 360s. So if you have a look at Toolmaker, for example, that will do it. And Shulk, you can show And Shulk, if you want to share your screen and show Roadmapper, you can. I'm just not going to, because when I found out about Roadmapper, it was covered under an NDA, whereas you've probably found out about it since then and it's not. So if you want to share it, that's fine. Rohan's asked another question. He clicked a 360 photo. It's approved by Maps, but not able to see it on the maps. It became private, I think, as there is no increasing views as compared to other photos. We also checked in incognito mode. I wouldn't assume that you've made some kind of mistake. It may be that when it got reviewed by the human later on, they decided to just make it private. It might be there's a lot of 360s there already, or it might be that they didn't think it was a high enough quality. I'd be a little bit surprised about that, because a lot of really awful things get through on 360s, so quality doesn't seem to matter that much. But you can always ask. You can go into, if you're in Street View Trusted Photographer, are you 80? If you can go into Street View Trusted Photographer, you can actually ask why an individual image was rejected. And they don't always, but they will often tell you. Pratish has asked, I am a Street View Trusted Photographer. I have connected to 360 photos through Android phone so that in a single image, arrows to another nearby photos be shown, but is only showing in my profile. Others cannot see those arrows. There's actually a known issue with connecting the arrows in the app. Currently, it's been there for quite a while, probably since February, and the recommended approach is to use something like Tool Builder instead of using the app. Now, there are, if you look on the website that I shared before for contributing to 360s, there are some links there for some different commercial software that you can use to build tours, and a couple of them will let you publish 2 or 3 tours every couple of months for free. So have a look at those. Just check them all out. I don't recommend any particular one. They all have their pros and cons. Yeah, I think it's a bit weird that your images aren't showing, Pratish. If you want to send a link to your profile to me in Connect and a link to any images that are private, you can still share a private image to someone. Send those to me in a PM in Connect and I'll have a look. Cool. Oh, Anshuk's showing us. There we go. So this, what Anshuk is showing is Roadmapper. You may remember in the past we had MapMaker. MapMaker suffered some issues principally around problems with people adding content that they probably shouldn't and controlling things that they probably shouldn't. So Roadmapper is different because you're not contributing to your community, you're contributing to other communities. There's several around the world, and looks like you've done quite nicely there, Anshuk. You're quite busy. How are you finding that they're getting approved fairly quickly?
Yes, Paul. Okay. These do get approved in within a day or so, maximum 2 days.
Yeah, I'm finding similar.
Of 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you using it on mobile, or are you just using it on your desktop?
No, you can.
You muted yourself. I've never actually tried it on mobile. I've only tried it on desktop. It's really good fun. So if you get invited into the trial, it's now a public trial, and even their website actually shows stuff. It should be safe enough to give you the website.
Actually, you can use your mobile phone if you connect a mouse. because the version you have to use a mouse to use the screen, and so if you have a mouse, then you can connect it with your mobile phone, or otherwise use your desktop or laptop, whatever you have.
Cool.
So you cannot use in the mobile version, basic mobile version.
Well, if you want to know whether you're allowed into it or not, the best way, now that it's a public trial, because some people it'll let in and some that it won't. So if it lets you in, great. If it doesn't, you're not meant to be there.
Yeah, I got a mail from them.
Yeah, you normally get an invitational mail, but a lot of people miss those because I don't know
Yeah,
about you, but lots of emails go into folders in Inbox or in
yep,
Gmail.
yeah,
I never
yeah,
even look
exactly.
at.
Yeah, Pritesh has done that. His mail went to the spam. Is Pritesh over here? He
Yeah,
also
yeah.
got that.
Yes.
Yeah, his mail went to the spam folder.
Yeah, so just
Yeah,
give it a
yeah.
try.
I
'Cause
got an email.
if you're not meant to be in there, it won't let you in.
So basically, you can contribute for Nigeria, Venezuela, Myanmar, and Ethiopia right now. These 4 countries.
And how many kilometers have you done?
140 odd.
I've done 230 so far.
Oh,
I just had a look.
I will beat you very soon.
Yes, you will. Yeah. I tend to spread myself a little bit thinly. I do too many things.
No, I usually do only 1 or 2 tasks per day, not more than that.
Yeah.
I can't
I,
concentrate.
I find that it's really good if you're sitting in a boring virtual meeting with work, you can just quietly sit there and road mapper on another screen. It's great.
Yeah, I have done so before also.
Yeah. Basically what you're doing is adding value to those communities, and you're literally putting communities on the map that have
Yeah,
never had any exposure to Google Maps at all. So it's the ultimate expression of local guides.
the best thing I've noticed about that is there are cities in Nigeria which don't have any roads on Google Maps.
If there aren't
Okay,
any
now
other questions, I'll hand it back to our organizer, Isha.
Thank you, thank you. Anilji, why are you presenting your screen? You want to share something?
I think Anil's showing us his big black dot.
Don't know.
You should see a doctor about that dot, mate. It looks uncomfortable.
Okay, so we have just 3 minutes left. In case if you have any more questions, I don't think so. But in case if you have, you
I
can ask now.
I sent my question, please.
Did I answer it, Osama? Did I miss one?
Yes, for sure. Yes, for
Oh,
sure.
you asked, is it a must to remove the native in the 360 photo? No, definitely not. You don't have to. Quite a few people do. You can do that with Snapseed. Snapseed's actually fairly good at blinking out that little patch where your tripod is. What Osama's asking about is right at the bottom of a 360 and right at the top of the 360. The bottom, hopefully I get this the right way around, the bottom's the nadir and the top's the zenith. People like to get rid of their tripod from underneath the bottom of the image. And in my case, I'm often wearing the thing on a helmet. So I want to get rid of my head. But you don't actually have to. No one really minds about that. Just make sure whatever's there is taking up less than 10% of the image and you're fine. You're also welcome. You're also welcome, unlike any other photos on maps, you're actually welcome to take 10% of the image to add a logo if you want to, if you're actually doing it as a business.
Yes, but I have a trick instead of Snapseed app or any photo editor app that we can use a very slim and thin tripod instead of editing the photo, because if we edit the photo, it will lose the quality and the resolution after editing.
That is very true. I don't think I'm going to be able to get mine out of there. My tripod's jammed in behind my desk. I was going to get it out and show it if I can. I'll try. This is really professional, isn't it?
Yes, professional tripod and very slim.
So this is the one I use for 360s. Camera sits on top and it's a monopod. And down the bottom, it's got its little feet. There you go. I managed to get it out of there. So this is handy. One thing to watch with these things is be careful of the wind. So if you're in a windy place, put a sandbag on it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll lose your camera.
Yes.
Cool. Are there any more questions? Rosie had to go.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, well, I'll hand back to Isha.
Thank you, Paul.
I have a question. Still one more question about normal photo, please. Just one. Just the last one, please. I asked this question in the beginning of this meeting, and Sir Paul didn't answer it.
Oh, let me scroll back to the top. What did I miss?
No, don't scroll up. I will ask it again, please.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I want to understand the motion still option in camera setting in smart devices. When can we use this option? What is motion still? So when I use it, I go to my device studio, I check the shot. It is not either video or image. It's shaking.
Mm-hmm. It actually is a video, but it's I'm gonna take an easy way out and say here it's video JPEG. All right, it's not MPEG, it's video JPEG, and it's a relatively recent thing that people have started using. The standard's been around for a while. You shouldn't put those on maps because they don't come in as photo or as video. If it uploads to maps at all, you'll only see one frame of it.
Sir, I don't want to upload the motion still photos to map. I'm asking in general, when can I use this option?
Oh, anytime you want the background to move. That's what they're for. It just captures a short bit of motion in the image. So you can use it as part of your composition. So if the clouds are moving and you take a portrait of a person, the person is standing still, but the clouds are moving over their head. That's what it's for.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Cool. All right. It was really good to see so many familiar faces again, even though most of you are just icons because you haven't got your cameras on. But that's okay. All right.
The time is already up. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your questions. Anil ji has written that one question. I am in queue for questions. Anil ji, what questions did you have? You can quickly ask one if you want.
He wants to see
No,
Lego.
time up. Let's respect the time. We will take it further. Paul, can you put down your WhatsApp mobile number?
Not a chance. You can talk to me on Connect.
No, I'm respecting the time that schedule. No, people have came across the world. I should not take time. That's why. Nothing else. No problem.
Yeah, just send me a PM on Connect. If I put my number in here, I'll get lots.
It will
And
become
it's
daily
night time
newspaper.
for Paul, so he probably might need sleeping after a tiresome session of question and answers. Right, Paul?
Yep. I'm going to grab my dinner.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Paul, please don't go. Please don't go. Just, Paul,
Yes, Anil.
just show me your Lego.
I
No,
knew you'd
relax
ask.
yourself.
Hang
Sir
on.
Paul.
Oh,
Sir
God.
Paul,
Hang on.
relax.
Hang on.
No,
Here it is.
relax your stomach.
Do you want to see the one I built after the workshops? Hang on.
Just skip your dinner. Skip it.
Latest one. Oh, he put on the headphone. He cannot hear.
Oh, that's nice. It's a railway, I guess. Is it a steamy?
Isha, take the screenshot.
Wait. I'm
See,
very
when
bad
I'm
at
not
this.
running a workshop every week, I've got time to build them.
So long back, you have not done any workshop, Paul. What is the latest one?
I might do one for America and South America. We'll see. I've got a few people asking me to.
No, every meeting I used to ask the latest.
Yep. Oh, well. Anyway, guys, thank you all for coming along, and thank you for those questions. And yes, Anshuk, you're right. I would get spammed. And back to you, Isha.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Paul, for taking this wonderful presentation and answering all the questions with a smile on your face. Thank you so much, and thank you all the attendees for joining this session. And I've shared the photo album link in case if you have taken some of your best pictures over there, like which you might have taken for the World Photography Day celebrations. You can post it in that link so that in the recap I can mention that these are some of the best photographs that have been taken by our local guides across the world. So thanks a lot for joining. Just wait a second. When as I say 1 2 3, just give a smiling face. I'll take a screenshot. Okay, so 1 2 3, say cheese. Thank you. So that's what we call the World Photography Day celebration. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining. It's already
Aisha,
past our
thank
time.
you.
Thanks for your
Aisha,
time. Thanks, Paul. Please have your dinner.
thank you,
Did
Thank
you
Aisha.
have
you.
a
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining.
Well, it's afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Paul, are you hungry?
Yes. It's 9:30 here.
Still
Okay.
12:30.
Okay,
All
bye
right, guys.
everyone. Bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good
Thanks for
day,
joining.
morning, or
Thanks for
afternoon,
staying till
depending on
the
where you
end.
are.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
very
See you
much.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
So all the while, I was in transit, so I couldn't say anything.
All right,
Oh my
thank you
God, I
guys. It
need
was actually a
I need
All
to
right.
do this.
wonderful and interesting meetup. So nice,
Hey, cool.
nice seeing you all. Have a lovely day.
And well,
That was a wonderful
yeah.
one. Thank you for the presentation and the
No, thank you
detailed,
for saying.
summary.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cool. No, have fun, folks.
All
See
right,
you
bye.
later.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you
Paul.
so
Bye.
much.
Bye, Paul.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye-bye.
I was not aware about the exact timings. I missed it. So as soon as I see the timing, I immediately joined. But the last 15 minutes, but still, thank you for conducting such a wonderful topic.
Okay, thank you, Tejalben.
Thank you very much, Paul. Good night. Have nice dinner. Thank you, Isha.
Thank you, Isha.
Thanks, Erna. Thanks for joining.
I know, it started at 6 o'clock and my time, and I was not up yet. Oh my goodness, I was late. It's all right.
It's okay. It's okay. Thanks for joining, anyways, Erna. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a really
Bye.
nice meetup, Isha.
Thank you.